Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is July 3rd, 2023. It's on Monday and cloudy outside. How are you spending Monday? Monday will be the first day of the week for many people. But it depends on your schedule. It hinges on your schedule. It's all up to your schedule. Do you have a school or work today? Or do you have a day off today? Or do you have nothing today? Be sure to prepare for natural disasters so that it won't be too late. In order that it won't be too late. Be sure to turn off all of the switches when you leave the office last. Make sure to prepare for natural disasters in order that it won't be too late. First, I didn't realize why all of the classmates were laughing at me, and soon after I realized that I had worn my clothes inside out, backwards. As soon as I entered the classroom, my best friends laughed at me. I didn't realize why they were laughing at me for a while, but in about 5 minutes I realized that I had worn my clothes inside out. In order to dry your clothes faster, quicker, inside it out. When you dry it outside, it will make the dry faster. Inside out, up and down, upside down, inside out, backwards. Inside out, 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 inside out. When I was a student, I used to memorize all of the things needed for the examination. Even I memorized all of them which were needed for the examinations inside out. I was not satisfied and I was always filled with fearness. Maybe I was a perfectionist. When I was a student, I tried to memorize all of the information which were needed for the examinations, inside out. Even with perfect preparation by studying inside out, I was never satisfied. I was always afraid of taking the examination. But in other words, such fearness or nervousness made me study hard. Because studying hard can be difficult. I mean, when it comes to keeping us motivated, it can be very difficult. But thanks to fearness and nervousness made me study harder with endless concentration and focus. I derived my motivation and concentration from pressure and deadline, fearness, and so on. I usually prepare and study inside out, thoroughly, drastically, inside out, inside out, inside out. Inside out, inside out, inside out, inside out, inside out. Inside out, inside out. Inside out, inside out. Inside out. Getting free lunch is one of the good aspects of the occupation. Getting discount on the train fares is the privilege and a good aspect of the occupation. There are some good aspects of working in a company. There are always both good and bad aspects of working in a company. Nothing is perfect. Everything comes with difficulties to a certain extent, to some degrees, to some extent. I haven't seen aggressive aspect of him. You don't know his another aspect of his personality. His personality changes once he has got to his home. Once he has got to his home, his house. Once he has got home. Once he has got home, he has another aspect of his personality. Once he has got home, he becomes like a musical actor. Let's talk about both good and bad aspects of living in countryside. Could you tell me the agenda? When will the agenda be announced? When will be the agenda for the meeting announced? When will be the agenda? When will be the agenda for the meeting published? When will be the agenda for the meeting published, announced, released? Agenda. Since I have a bad memory, I often make a minute of what you have said, what others have said. Since I have a bad memory and I soon forget, I usually take a memo of what others say, if they are very important or the information is very difficult to remember or confusing. I make a memo. I make a memo. I make a minute. I make a minute. I make a minute of what others say. When I was in super busy, and there were no paper to write on, I used to make a minute on my hand. When I was super busy and there were no paper to write on, I used to make a minute of important information on my hand so that I wouldn't forget, in order that I wouldn't forget. When I was super busy and there were no paper or something like that to write on, I used to make a memo of important information while calling on my hand, for fear that I should forget them. Lest I should forget them. In case I should forget them. Are the minutes available to the public? Are the minutes for the ordinary diet session available? Are the minutes for ordinary diet session available? Are the minutes for the ordinary diet session available? The minutes. What are the occupation of taking the minutes of the ordinary session called? They are taking the minutes in the center, at the center of the diet house. What are they called? What are the occupation called? What are their occupation? What are the occupations who are taking the minutes of the diet session written called? What are the occupation of taking the minutes of the ordinary diet session at the center of the diet house called? What are the occupation of taking the minutes of the meeting at the center called? The minutes. Who is in charge of taking the minutes of the meeting? The minutes. 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 Make a minute of what others say. I saw new employees making a minute of what the instructor explained so that they wouldn't forget them. In order that they wouldn't forget them. I saw new employees making the minute of the instructor was explaining so that they wouldn't forget them. In order that they wouldn't forget them. I saw new employees making a minute of what the instructors told, so that they wouldn't forget them. In order that they wouldn't forget them. I saw new employees making a minute of what the instructor was explaining so that they wouldn't forget them. In order that they wouldn't forget them. be sure to take the minutes for the, the development of our department and for the future. Don't forget to take the minutes for the future. Don't forget to take the minutes for evidence. It will be a historical evidence. Why? The minutes, the minutes, the minutes, the minutes. The minutes. Take the minutes. Take the minutes. The politician delivered a speech referring to the minutes, which was conducted, which was held a few years ago. The minutes. Where are the minutes stored? Where are the minutes stored? Are the minutes stored electronically or on paper? Are the minutes stored in paper or electronically? Electronically. Are the minutes stored electronically or in paper? Are the minutes stored electronically or on paper? Are the minutes stored in paper or electronically? Are the minutes stored in paper or electronically? The minutes. Are the minutes stored electronically or on paper as documents? Okay, can we have access to the minutes? Can the public have access to the minutes? Can the public access to the minutes? Can the public have access to the minutes? Can the public have access to the minutes? Can the public have access to the minutes? Choosing our explicit course of life before graduating from school is very difficult. I think many students will choose their course of life by entering a company blankly. After entering a company and working for the company for a time being, they might realize what they wanna do. Finally, ultimately. Is there explicit answer to our life? Is there explicit answer to our life? Do you know the purpose of our life? Explicit answer to our life. explicit answer to our life, explicit answer to our life, explicit, 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 explicit. The champion winning over the challenger was almost explicit, given the technical level difference. Level difference. Level difference. It is considering the statistics of the earthquake happening every about 100 years, 1 century. It is almost explicit that the big one will hit the region within 30 days, 30 years. It was explicitly the fault of the staff. It was explicitly the fault of the staff, so the customer could get the money back. It was explicitly the fault of the staff, so the customer could have the money back all. So the customer could have the all of the money back. So the customer could have all of the money back. Explicitly, 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 explicitly. Showing the traffic signs explicitly on expressway is essential, necessary, so that in order to avoid the drivers from getting confused, showing the letters with large sites explicitly on the board, especially on the expressway, is essential so as to avoid the drivers of the cars from getting confused, and in order to avoid the drivers from taking the mistaken courses, mistaken routes. Showing the traffic lights directions, showing directions on the board along the expressway is essential in order to prevent the drivers from taking the different routes by mistakes. Because we drivers have to make a decision quickly which way to go by looking at the traffic board with directions. Explicitly express your feelings. Explicitly express your feelings with a sound. In order to explicitly express your feelings, you have to do more than you expected, told my music teacher. Explicitly. It was explicitly the fault of the staff, so the customer could get all of the money back. Explicitly, 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 explicitly. The merger is expected to be beneficial for both of the villages. Both of the principal of the cities expect the merger to be beneficial for both of the municipality. The two principals, the two mayors from the different neighboring cities expect the merger to be beneficial for both of them for the future. Merger of the two companies, merger of the two cities, villages for better future. The two villages were merged into one. The three cities were merged into one for more efficient, better future. Beneficiality, better beneficiality. The big company merged a couple of small and middle companies by buying more than half number of stock of the companies. Usually by getting more than half of the stock, half of the number of the total stocks, they can usually have the right to lead the company, which means the virtual takeover. But I'm not sure, and I'm not familiar with such things, so please do not believe. But as far as I know, I read about that from somewhere. So, but the criteria will be different from company to company. So, don't believe that. The company merged two companies for embarking on new field with the help of the technologies from the two companies. The big company merged the small and middle-sized company by getting more than half of the total number of stocks in order to embark on the field which is not good at for the company with the help of the small and middle-sized company. The couple of cities were merged into one. The city was merged into a bigger city. The two cities were merged into one. In the end, the vacant land will be merged into the parking lot of the company. In the end, the vacant land next to the big company will be turned into a parking lot of the company. In the end, I guess so. The vacant land in the end will be merged into the parking lot of the company someday in the future. I guess so. I bet so. I presume so. I predict so. I expect so. I anticipate so. The company is planning merging the small and middle-sized company in order to get help of the field, which is weak for the company, in order to embark on new era. In order to be competitive, so as to be competitive in the world. The company is planning to merge the small and middle-sized company in order to collaborate in developing new merchandises and in order to be competitive in the world, so as to be competitive in the world. Merge. The two separate departments were merged into one for better efficiency. The three departments were merged into one for better efficiency. The three separate departments were merged into one for better efficiency. A couple of cities were merged into one. The three cities were merged into one long time ago. The two rivers merged at the lower stream of that city. Lower stream of the city. The three of the river merge at the bottom of the city. At the lower stream. The three rivers merge at the lower stream of the town. The three cities are discussing merging. The three cities are discussing merging, which will be beneficial for both all of them. The two cities are discussing about merging, which will be beneficial for both of them. Merge, 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 merge. What beneficiaries can we get by the two cities merging? What beneficiaries can we get? It depends on what beneficiaries can the locals get if the two cities merge. What beneficiaries can the locals, the citizens can the citizens get by the two cities merging? Wage increase. The claim for wage increase is recent trend or topic on the news. Wage increase is often brought up on the news. The call for wage increase is often raised and brought up on the news, TV, and so on. Wage. Better wage, better motivation, really? High wage is not necessarily connected to high motivation. Cultivation is said to started in Yayoi era in Japan, which started about 300 BC to 300 AD. Cultivation is said to have started in Yayoi era in Japan. Yayoi era lasted from 300 BC to 300 AD. Cultivation of sugar cane, cultivation of rice. Cultivation of rice is usually seen in summer. The planting of rice seedlings can be seen in spring in my area and most areas too. I see farmers planting rice seedlings in the paddy field in spring, and they will be harvested in summer. I see farmers cultivating rice every summer. I see farmers cultivating rice every summer. I can see farmers cultivating rice every summer. Agriculture. Japanese agriculture. Japanese agriculture. Japanese Agriculture Association. Are you interested in agriculture? Do you have the interest in agriculture? Agricultural chemicals. Agricultural instrument. My grandmother likes to buy agricultural instruments at a home center or 100 yen shop like Daiso. Agricultural agricultural, 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 agricultural development. Agricultural development, such as the specialized tractor which harvests or planting seedlings of rice, is awesome. Before the development of the specialized tractor, we used to plant the seedlings by hands, at hand, primitive way. Agricultural development. Let's hope for agricultural development. Agricultural development. Thanks to agricultural development, we can have access to summer vegetables or fruits even in winter. We can have access to fruits every day, every year, without thinking about the season, which is awesome, isn't it? Agricultural knowledge, agricultural knowledge. Agricultural instruments, agricultural implements, instrument, implements, 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 agricultural 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 chemicals, 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 agricultural implements, agricultural implements, scope, plow, 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 agricultural chemicals. Are you searching for vegetables without agricultural chemicals? Other vegetables or fruits are with strange shape if they are grown in a field without agricultural chemicals, because they grow naturally. Isn't it? I don't know. Whatever, what's over? No. I have to learn. Rake. Agricultural implements such as plow or rake. Beautifully raked gravel. Beautifully raked gravel in the garden. If you anticipate the tourist destination to be so attractive, you will get disappointed. So don't anticipate too much. Don't anticipate too much. Don't anticipate reward from what you have done for others. Don't anticipate reward for what you have done for others. Given the dark cloud, I anticipate that it will be rainy soon. Considering the dark cloud appearing from the sky, I anticipate it will be rainy soon. Considering the dark cloud appearing from the sky gradually, little by little, I anticipate it will rain soon. It's going to be rain soon. It is going to rain soon. Anticipation. Anticipation that it's going to rain. As long as you come back 5 o'clock, I will let you go. As long as you can promise me that you won't go beyond the limitation cable, I will let you go swimming. Anticipation that the stock price will increase tomorrow. Anticipation that the stock price will decrease tomorrow. Anticipation. Our anticipation can be betrayed in a both good and bad way. Our anticipation can be betrayed in both good and bad way. There is an anticipation that many current jobs will be replaced by AI. Anticipation. I usually eat rice as staple every day. My staple is rice. What is your staple you eat every day? What is your staple to eat every day? Rice or bread? or natto or tofu. I usually eat rice. Rice is my favorite grain. Rice and wheat must be the most consumed two grains. Rice and wheat might be the most consumed grains in the world. Grain. Continent. The continent. Eurasia, Asia, Australia, European continent. I learned about the continents such as Eurasia, Asia, Southeast Asian, European, Australian, American continent. Continent. The continent. The continent. Which do you prefer? Continental or Japanese breakfast? You can choose from continental or Japanese breakfast. Continental. Continental land. Continental style breakfast or Japanese style breakfast. Which do you choose? You can choose from either Japanese or continental style breakfast. Continental, 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 continental. Continental. Continental cuisine. Continental cuisine. Enjoying continental cuisines is one of the things I'd like to enjoy. Trying continental cuisines is one of the enjoyments for tourism for me. Continental, 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 continental. Continental border. How does the continental border works? Are the small fences at the continental border working? So I don't know how the fences for the continental borders are working. I wonder how the small fences created on the border working. I wonder how the small fences at the continental border are working. Continental, continental, continental border, continental border, continental boundary, continental boundary, continental boundary, continental boundary, continental boundary. Different perspective from continentals. Continentals traveled the world and discovered many continents. I still remember the hose of the shower was leaking, but I was afraid to get it fixed. I felt like I would have been paid extra for the fixment at the hotel. I will never forget the bad experience of the hotel. It was located on the second floor, and there was a rock cafe or music cafe, I don't know the name, but there was a cafe with very noisy sound, including low and high, until 6 or 7 a.m. So it was like almost next to or in the rock cafe. So of course I couldn't sleep at all. And it was even quieter during the day than night. Besides that, the water was leaking from the hose. So I was washing my hair with the leaking water. Who leaked the confidential information? I will not trust anybody because anybody might leak the confidential information, concealed, confidential, classified information to others. So if you don't want somebody to leak the information that you don't want to be released, you should keep it secret. Don't trust anybody. If you want to keep something secret, don't release it to anybody, even with the person you can respect. Anybody can leak the classified information to others. Anybody can. I told you not to leak the information. Did you forget that? I told you not to leak the information. I told you the secret was between only you and me. Why did you leak that? Why did you leak that? Responsible for that by paying 45 billion yen. Leak. Radioactive is still leaking. Radioactive is leaking from the spray. Something is leaking from the spray. Water is leaking from the drain pipe. I realized that by the sound during the heavy rain. The water was leaking and dropping to the ground, which made me notice the hole in the drain pipe. The water was leaking from the hole. Water leaking. Water leaking. The inspectors are checking the sound of water leaking. The experts are searching for the spots water leaking. The experts are trying to identify the spots where the water is leaking. Leak of classified information. Leak of top secret information. Leak of questions of the biggest examination in the country. The hacks of the computer of the society of the organization. Let the hackers steal the information easily. The weak password and cyber protection of the computer of the society of the organization let the hackers steal information. Let the hackers hack the computer and steal information, classified information easily. Leakage. The scammers threaten to leak the classified information. The scammers threaten to leak the classified information, although they didn't know the person at all. The scammers can try to threaten to leak the classified information of us, although they don't know us at all. Scammers try to threaten to leak the classified information of us, although they don't know us at all. Don't be deceived by such scamming emails. Scammers try to threaten to leak the classified information of us, although they don't know us at all. Leak. Weak passwords can lead to the leak of the breaking into the account. Leak of the gas is detected by the device. The device let us know the leak of the gas by sounding and a voice message. The special device can detect even subtle leak of the gas by with voice message and with the big sound of siren. The small device can detect even subtle difference, subtle gas leak, leakage. The small special device can detect even subtle leakage of the gas. The small device can detect even subtle gas leakage. The small device can detect even subtle gas leakage. Leakage. Leakage of water from the hole of the pipe. Leakage of water from the hole of the drain pipe. Leakage of water from the hole from the hole of the drain pipe. Leakage. leakage. Leakage of water from the hose. Leakage. The specialists are trying to find where the water leakage is happening. I realized the leakage of water from the hole of the pipe by hearing the sound during the heavy rain. I realized the leakage of water from the hole of the drain pipe. If you were to submit the document by the deadline, you will have to take the same year of the university again. If you fail to submit the report by the deadline, you have to take the same year again. All I have to do today is to submit the report to the professor. I don't have any classes today. So after submitting the report, I have no plan. Maybe I will stop by some shops during on my way home, because going home straight is a waste of time. Because although I went out for the submitting, I feel like achieving something before going home. Otherwise, the day will be wasted. All of the employees submit the orders from the bosses because they are afraid of being laid off. All of the employees submit the bosses because they are afraid of being laid off. All of the employees usually obey and submit the orders made by the executives. But some people confront. Submission to the orders from executives. Submission to orders from the executives. Submission to unreasonable decisions made by bosses is crazy. Unacceptable. Submission of the report by the deadline. The submission deadline is written at the bottom of the page with capital, with larger font for notability. The submission date is written at the bottom of the page with a large font for the notability. Submission of the resume and career history to the travel agent. Where is the submission deadline? Where is the submission deadline? Where is the deadline for the submission? Where is the deadline for the submission of the resume and career history? Submission. submission. Submission, 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 submission to the orders from parents, submission to parents, submission to your boss, submission to the government, submission to constitution is necessary or essential. Submission to the constitution is must. Submission to getting the perfect score. Submission to the orders by the music teacher is must if we want to be successful, if you want to improve your sound. Submission to the Buddhist monk. Submission of the report by the deadline. Submission of the report by the deadline. Submission of the document by the deadline. Submission, submission, submission. Submission, submission. Submission, submission to the orders by the executives. Submission to the orders by the boss is obligation, mandatory, forceful. submission to the orders by the chief executive officer is almost like mandatory, obligatory. Submission, 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 submission. Submission to the parents' decisions. Submission to the traffic light, traffic signs. Submission to the Constitution. Submission to the traffic directions, traffic light. Submission to the direction by the police officers. Submission to the policy, submission to the rules, submission to the rules, submission to the policies, submission to the rules, submission to the rules. Submission to the rules, submission to the rules. Submission to the decisions made by the CEO is must. I got a driving license with manual car, which means I can drive both automated and manual car. Mission car. I got my driving license with manual cars, which means I can drive both AT and MT cars. It is advised that I must read the manuals before starting the assembly. It is advised that I should read the manual before starting the assembly. Manual, 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 manual. Does a second-hand Blu-ray player come with the manual or only the body? Excuse me, does the Blu-ray player come with the second-hand Blu-ray player come with the AC adapter and the manual? Excuse me, does the second-hand Blu-ray player come with the manual? Manual. Please read the manual carefully before starting operating the machine. Before operating the machine, we have to take the class reading the manual together. Manual. When you operate the machine, please follow the rules written in the manual. Before starting the assembly, please read the manual. The train, the manual door of the train was turned into automated ones before I know. The manual doors of the train was transformed into automated one before I know. The manual doors of the trains were turned into automated ones before I know. The manual doors of the trains were turned into automated ones before I know. The manual doors of the trains were transformed into automated ones before I know. Manual, manual, manual. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.